Okay, today we are going to knit a sock from the toe up. We are going to use the Go Your Own Way socks pattern. We're going to be knitting ours in hawthorn, so you'll need a hank of hawthorn. One hank should do it. If you want to make bigger socks, then you might need two. We're going to do the magic loop method, so you'll need a circular needle. We're using a size 2, 32-inch length. You'll need a sewing needle and a pair of scissors, just briefly for those. And once complete, you'll have a lovely little sock. Okay, first thing to do is we're going to go ahead and cast on. This pattern uses the Judy's Magic Loop method. If you're unfamiliar with it, we do have a tutorial video online that will show you exactly how to do it. But for this one, we are going to do the smallest size, so we are going to go ahead and cast on 4 stitches, and these 4 stitches will be on either side of, it'll be 4 stitches on each needle. So we're going to go ahead and cast on. So quick and easy. So the next thing we do is we're going to go ahead and just knit 1 row. Make sure you're using your yarn from the ball and not your tail. Once you knit that 1 row, we're going to start increasing for the toe. The toe increases are knit front and back in the first stitch, knit to 2 stitches before the end of the heel stitches, knit front and back, and knit 1. At this point, you might want to place a stitch marker to indicate which side are your heel stitches. The next row, you're going to knit all the stitches. And you're going to do this on both sides, both the heel and the instep. For the smallest size, you're going to complete these last 2 rows an additional 8 times for a total of 44 stitches. And once you get there, you're just going to go ahead and knit until the total length is 3.5 inches less than the total foot length. So you're going to do your increases and then just knit all the stitches. And once you do that, we'll meet back here and learn about the gusset. Okay, we went ahead and we've done our toe increases, and then we've knit the stocking net until this is 3.5 inches smaller than our foot, or the foot we're going to make this for. At this time, if you haven't already, it's a good idea to go ahead and mark one side of your work on. This just keeps the heel stitches separate from the instep stitches. For the heel and the gusset, we're going to be only increasing on one side. So I use locking stitch markers. You can use anything you like, just something that'll mark, just so you know when you're knitting, make it much easier to actually do the increases. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start the gusset increases. And these are very similar to the toe increases. All you're going to do is you're going to use the knit front and back stitch again. You're going to go in the first stitch. Then you're going to knit all the way across to the end of these stitches. And once you get there, you're just going to go ahead and you're going to knit front and back again. There we go. Then you're going to work across the instep stitches. These are just plain knit, and that's one round. Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to repeat. You're going to go ahead and knit one complete round again, and then you're going to repeat the increase round another 9 times for the smallest size, or whatever it says in your pattern. And then we're going to go ahead and meet back here and work on the heel stitches. All right, we finished our gusset increases, and we have 66 stitches total on our needle. We have 44 for the heel, and then we have 22 for the instep. And now we're going to work back and forth just on the heel stitches. We're going to be doing wrap and turn short rows, and this will turn the heel. So, or help get it ready to turn the heel. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to, on just the heel stitches, you're going to knit across 32 stitches for the smallest size, or whatever size you're doing. It's listed in the pattern. So we're going to knit 32 stitches. Wrap and turn stitches seem to confuse a lot of people, but they are one of the most interesting and fun stitches to do, and they're very useful, both for sock heels and for anywhere else you need a little bit extra space. So we've knit 32 stitches, and we are going to wrap and turn. So wrapping and turning is really easy. You're going to pull your working yarn over your stitches on your right needle. The next stitch, you're going to just wrap the working yarn around that particular stitch, slip it back onto your left needle, and you'll see that you have wrapped that stitch. And we are going to purl back 20 stitches. Remember, we're just working on the heel stitches at this point. So we're going to purl back 20 stitches, and we're going to do the same thing again. Okay, so we've purled back our 20 stitches, and we're going to wrap and turn the next stitch. So in this case, you're going to take your working yarn and you're going to move it to the front, and then slip the next stitch, wrap the yarn around it, and then slip it back to the left needle, and you'll see it's nice and wrapped. So you're next going to knit back to one stitch before that wrapped stitch, and you're going to wrap and turn that stitch before. So you'll have 2 wrapped stitches in a row. And you should be able to see your wrapped stitch pretty easily. There'll be a little gap in any case, and then you're going to go ahead and purl back to the stitch before the stitch you just wrapped. You're going to continue in this manner until you have, for the smallest size, 7 wrapped stitches on either side of 8 stitches in the middle. So you'll see, you'll be able to keep count of those. And once you finish there, we'll meet back here and we will turn the heel. Okay, so next we are going to do we're going to pick up those wraps we just did. So what you want to do is you want to knit to the next wrap, and then I'm going to show you how to pick it up. This will be real helpful because it'll turn the heel. Okay, so you're going to come to that wrap there. You're going to lift that up and put it onto the left needle, It'll be right in front of that stitch, and then you're just going to knit the two of them together. So you're just going to do that with all of your wrapped stitches along this side. And once you've done that, you'll be at the end of the heel stitches. You're just going to work all the way across. And once you get to the instep stitches, you're going to go ahead and knit all the way across. So you're going to be working it around for one row anyway. So go ahead and lift up those. So you're going to lift it up with your right needle, put it on your left needle, and then knit the two stitches together. And there should be, if you're making the smallest size, there should be 7 wrapped stitches. So you're just going to go ahead, go across there, and finish up at the instep. All right, so we're at the start of the instep. So we're just going to knit across those stitches. Once you do that, you'll end up at the start of the heel stitches, and we'll meet back here and do the heel flap. All right, we're at the start of our heel stitches again. And so we are going to, for the smallest size, we are going to knit 32 stitches, and we're going to finish picking up all those wraps we didn't pick up. So we are going to, you're going to just lift those wraps and knit it with the stitch it's wrapping. So just go ahead and do that across the row. And we're going to start doing the heel flap. So once you knit, so you're going to lift the wrap and knit it with the stitch it's wrapping. All right, once you've done that, just continue knitting until you get to 32 stitches. We're going to start decreasing. So you'll end up with the original amount of stitches you had when you started the heel. So for the small size, that's going to be 44 stitches. And we're also going to be doing a little slip stitch pattern. This is for the heel. This creates a stronger fabric for heels, so your heels won't wear out so quickly, which is why you see these in a lot of sock patterns. There'll be some variations of a slip stitch pattern, or Eye of a Partridge is another really popular one. It just creates a little bit of a stronger fabric. So let's see where we are. Okay, so we've knit 32 stitches, picking up those wraps. We are going to do an SSK. So we're going to slip the next stitch, slip the next stitch, and then knit them together through the front loops. After that, we're just going to turn the work. We're just going to be working on one side, just on the heel stitches. And for the next row, we are going to slip one and purl one. We're going to do that a total of 10 times. Okay, once we've done that, we are going to slip one more stitch And then we're going to purl the next 2 stitches together. And we're going to turn our work. The next row, we're going to slip 1. We're going to knit just across those 20 stitches. So once you work those 20 stitches, you'll end up at 1 stitch before a gap between the last row you worked and the previous row. So you'll see this pretty big gap. So what you're going to do is you're going to slip, slip, and knit those stitches together, and that's going to close the gap. So there we go. Once you do that, you're just going to turn and you're going to do pretty much the same thing you did with the other purl row. You're going to start with a slip 1, purl 1 across the stitches, and then you're going to end up at 1 stitch before that little gap, and you're going to purl those 2 stitches together. You're going to continue in this manner until all of the stitches have been worked. Once you do that, you should end up with 22 stitches for heels and 44 stitches total. You're going to begin working in the round again, just knitting. You're going to work until the sock is 1 inch shorter than you want it to be, or for 4.5 inches. And we'll meet back here and we'll finish up the ribbing. All right, welcome back. We have finished knitting the leg of our sock. We have knit for 4.5 inches. It's going to be 1 inch shorter than what our sock ends up being. So now we are going to do some ribbing. This will keep the sock from falling down as much, kind of brings the stitches in. So we are going to be doing a 1-by-1 rib. So one of the simplest ribs you can do. So you're just going to knit 1 and then purl 1. And then repeat that all the way around. Knit 1 and purl 1. We're going to continue this for 1 inch, and then we'll come back here and we'll do the stretchy bind off to finish up our sock. All right, so we've done all of our ribbing, so now we are going to bind off. And for toe-up socks, it's very important that you do a stretchy bind off. Otherwise, it'll constrict too much and you won't be able to get your socks on. So we are going to use my favorite bind off. It's called the stretchy bind off, and it's really easy. So you're just going to knit 1, knit a 2nd stitch, and then you're going to knit those 2 together. So you're going to insert the needle in front of the 2 stitches here on your right hand needle, just like doing an SSK. So you've got 1 stitch left on your right needle. So you're going to knit the next stitch, and then you're going to go ahead and knit those 2 stitches together, the old one and the new one. Okay, you're going to continue in that manner until you've worked all of the stitches and you have 1 stitch left on the needle. You're going to cut your working yarn, draw your stitch through, and then weave in your ends using your yarn needle. And then you'll want to go ahead and check to see if any other ends you need to weave in. Mainly, you'll probably just have the one at the toe where you started. So once you have 1 sock complete, you just make a second one exactly like it, and you're ready to go your own way.